This is the Motion EVO 27.5, and that designates the wheel size right here. So we've got 27 by 2.25 inch tires. 2.25 is kind of how thick they are, right? A little bit of extra padding. These are obviously kind of like trail, mountain tires, and they've got this cool stripe that really sets them off nicely. 27.5 is kind of the in-between size for mountain biking these days. Like the original size was 26 inch, a little bit smaller, more maneuverable, and then they had 29ers, which are, you know, bigger, and they're more equivalent to like a road bike wheel size, which is going to help you to overcome obstacles. You don't have to like maneuver around them. You just hit them heads on and let the suspension fork soak up any of that jolting feeling, right? And they have a higher attack angle. They take a little bit longer to get up to speed, but once you're there, they have better rolling momentum. So anyway, 27.5 is kind of the in-between size, right? And I think it's, personally, I like this size. You know, I'm about 5'9", not a huge guy, so I don't need to feel like there's huge wheels on my bike. I kind of like the maneuverability, but I can also appreciate, you know, having something that's a little bit wider too. So I think they made a good choice on these, and I guess one of the neat things about what they've offered here is it's kind of a hybrid in my mind. Frankly, this could be used as an around town commuter. It does have the rack braze on, so you could add your own, you know, carrier in the back. You put a bag on it, put some panniers, or you can take it off road and hit the trails. What we've got here on the front is a 100 millimeters of travel with kind of a basic SR Sun Tour suspension fork. It does have lockout, which is nice. You just flip this thing and kind of pick a level in between to kind of like firm it up if you want to. I kind of like keeping it all the way open. I appreciate the cushion. Oversized, tapered head tube right there. You know, this is designed to be sort of a trail bike, but at the same time, you know, it's versatile. And to be honest with you, like some of the components like this suspension fork, if you really took this mountain biking like downhill, I just don't think it would hold up quite as well as like a RockShox or a Fox or something like that, like an air fork. And I should say the overall weight on this bike is about 50 pounds, so not too bad. It comes in one frame size here. It's kind of got medium 18-inch and kind of a neat sort of curved top tube right there. So you can imagine standing over this isn't quite as difficult as a true high step, and by keeping the saddle a little bit lower, you can sort of adjust that. It is quick release if you're descending on a trail, you know, and you're actually kind of standing up, sitting down, that kind of thing. Also, because it does have a twist throttle, you might not pedal as much, and having a little bit of a lower saddle kind of elevates your arms, and it feels more relaxed than kind of the forward aggressive feel that a lot of mountain bikes have. So there's just a lot of versatility on this bike, and frankly, the price point is pretty excellent. It's about $3,000, and you get something that's very purpose-built. Like you can see all the cables and everything are running through the frame. Nice little hub motor in the rear. Battery pack just seamlessly integrated. And that's the real highlight, in my opinion, with the Easy Motion bikes, is just how clean the frames do look and how well balanced they are, because the battery pack is forward, kind of low, and the motor's in the rear. So that gives you a nice balanced center of gravity versus some of these other bikes. There's battery hanging off the back. And a lot of mountain bikes, frankly, they do have a battery somewhere on the down tube, but to have one that's so cleanly integrated like this is just wonderful. Before I get too much into the drive and the electronic pieces of this bike, I want to highlight the rest of the bicycle attributes. So we have front release front fork, 180 millimeter disc there, and 160 millimeter rotor in the rear. And these are hydraulic. So you've got the Tetra Aruga E-Comp brakes, kind of got that nice white highlight going on. They've got these grips with lockers, which is really cool too. So, you know, it is a little bit more secure. You're not going to like twist this thing if you're really bearing down on the handles, but you might accidentally lose a little bit of your grip on this half grip twist throttle. So that's kind of a trade-off. I mean, you do have a twist throttle, but it compromises your grip a little bit. Anyway, the levers here, not only are they hydraulic, which is easier to pull, you know, you only need like one finger and it's real smooth. They also have motor inhibitor sensor, okay? So when you activate the brakes, as soon as you do that, motor power cuts out completely. And that's great because, like, let's say you're on a trail and you're coming around the bend and you realize, like, oh my gosh, I forgot there's like a cliff there. You don't want the motor fighting you. You want it to like cut immediately when you pull those, especially in pedal assist mode. So I think they did a good job of that. I mentioned quick release on the front. They've also got a unique quick release system on the rear now too. Check this out. There's like these plastic levers, one on each side, and they're kind of like quick releases. What you do is you just turn it, and then you can reset where the handle is. So you turn it, reset, turn it, reset, turn it. And that means that if you're on the trail and you get a flat tire or something, as long as you're carrying a tube, you could service this yourself. There's a quick disconnect on the hub motor right there too. So really convenient, handy. It makes it easier to service for you, for the shop, but it's still durable. Like you can see this little torque arm here, this extra metal plate that just makes this thing robust all around. And I guess while we're on the topic, before I was sort of expressing that, like, well, is this really a mountain bike? I mean, to me, it's kind of an around town, like occasional trail bike, because with the more basic suspension and with a hub motor versus something with like a mid drive that's actually going to give you that great torque, this feels good, but it only offers about 30.6 Newton meters of torque, where something like the Bosch system offers 60. It's twice as much torque. Plus, a system like that is going to leverage your cassette for climbing, whereas this one, the motor, it's just a motor, it just spins. It can't take into account which gear you're in. It can't know that you're climbing. And that makes for a zippy feel, like as soon as you twist the throttle, you're off, you know? It doesn't matter how fast you're going. The throttle, you know, it feels responsive, but you're not gonna get that same kind of power output. It is a 350 watt geared design. Being geared, you get a little bit more torque for the size, and you can see this is relatively small. It's kind of stealthy, but it's not huge. So 350 watt nominal, 450 watt peak. Okay, so that's a decent range, and it's a great system. Keeps it light, keeps it affordable, but I don't know if it's really the best for like true mountain biking. But again, around town, I mean, this would probably be one of my favorite bikes in their lineup because of the whole rack system setup. One thing it doesn't have is a bottle cage. You know, they might have been able to fit one here, but with that sort of downstep top tube, it would have been tight. So whatever, you know, just you can add one to the back of the seat, or you can carry a Camelback with you or put it on the rack. I think that's kind of it. The battery is the other really great highlight of this bike. Okay, so EVO is the 2015 lineup of bikes from Easy Motion. The older bikes were called Neo. The difference is that these battery packs, they're kind of straight, they're a little bit smaller, and they can be charged on the bike. So you see this power port right here? You can flip this open. You don't have to take the battery off to charge it, whereas you used to have to do that. And you can see how nice the finish is on this bike, this glossy red. It looks beautiful. And taking that battery pack off, there's the higher potential to drop it, get a little nick, or set it on the top and get kind of scuffed up. I store my bikes inside most of the time anyway, so it was kind of annoying, like lean it against the wall because there is no kickstand, and then precariously take off the battery pack and try to plug it in. I've actually got the keys to this one, so I was gonna show you how that works. It does lock to the bike, so you're not gonna have to worry as much about someone trying to steal your battery. Battery pack itself weighs about 5.5 pounds, which is cool because if you're transporting this bike, carrying it upstairs, you could take the battery off and you just shaved 5.5 pounds. It's 36 volt, 11.6 amp hour lithium ion, TD High Tech Energy Inc. Interesting. There's the charging port on the battery if you want to do it that way. And there's this cool LED indicator, so it says 3 out of 5 bars. That's, you know, more than half charged. Pretty sweet. And these are cross-compatible. You could use them on any of the different EVO line of Easy Motion bikes, but of course the color might not match, which would be kind of annoying. So there's the motor, there's the battery, there's that TMM4 torque sensor. It senses how hard you're pushing on those pedals for a nice, smooth, active response. And here is the cockpit, and I love this. Like, frankly, it's very clean. It's got rapid fire shifters. You got those hydraulic brakes, the lockers on the grips. Like, it's awesome. And you've got 30 speeds to choose from on this thing, which is phenomenal. So we're looking at that Shimano Diore XT 10-speed cassette in the rear and 3 in the front. Like, I don't really know of any other trail bikes that have electric trail bikes that have that kind of gear range. And I think that it would help you climb a little bit better. But back to using this around town as like a commuter or something, like that's just going to help you no matter where you are. It is going to mean a little bit more maintenance though, because those derailleurs are what kind of go out of tune over a while, and you know, you have to have a little bit longer chain to accommodate those larger sprockets front and rear. So just kind of keep that in mind. Oh, and I wanted to mention, as I was talking about the differences between 2014 and 2015, the motor cable on this one now comes out a little bit lower and kind of closer to the motor. Before, it would come out like right here, like on the bottom of this black thing, and it didn't have the quick release thing. And what that meant is if your bike tipped over, it was exposed to more trauma, like hitting a rock or something. So especially for, you know, potentially trail bike, having that motor cable in a little bit closer is a good thing. Okay, so we mentioned 30 speeds, got the cockpit up here. Another cool feature on this bike, and all of these Motion EVO bikes, is that the display is removable, and you can just pop that in your pocket, real easy, nice and clean. When you're ready to go, stick it back on. It's like almost completely sealed, and then we've got these rubberized buttons. Hold the power button for a few seconds here, and it lights up. It is backlit, and you've got this speedometer, battery level. There's those 4 out of 5 bars we were talking about, and then your trip distance, as well as your total odometer distance. And let's see, max speed is in there too, which is kind of cool if you keep pressing that power button. But the real function of this, you know, is basically to choose which level of assist or throttle mode you want. So we started off, we're in boost. That's the highest level of assist. You're going to get the most power, the most speed. And I've noticed it does go a little bit faster than 20 miles per hour in assist mode, which is kind of cool. If we go all the way down to no assist, well, that's when the throttle works up to 20 miles per hour. So, you know, pretty cool. It's kind of versatile. And there are times where, you know, you're just tired or you're going through a puddle or something, you don't want to pedal. So that's where throttle mode really comes in handy. I'm going to go ahead and hop on and start her off in throttle mode. Got these nice kind of grippy aluminum alloy platform pedals. Are also nice to have those right off the bat versus plastic. I'm going to do the quick release real quick here. Slide the seat up. And I think this is a 350 millimeter in length and 31.6 millimeter diameter, in case you want to replace that with a thud buster or something to add more cushion. Cool. Okay. Just pedaling like normal for now. Hit the throttle. There we go. We're at about 20 miles per hour, a little bit over. So not too bad with the throttle. And this bike might get a little bit less range given that it's, you know, knobbier tires. It's a little bit more, oh, I don't know, friction going on. Now I'm going to arrow up to boost mode. It's the highest level of assist, and you can kind of see how responsive that TMM4 torque sensor is back there. It's really satisfying, but it's also not the quickest thing to stop. That's one of the comments I make on these bikes, is that, you know, like, the bike starts, it's great, you get that power, but then when you stop pedaling, you kind of keep getting it for like a second or two there. And that's good in a sense because it reduces bobbing, or it reduces the sense of surge, which is when you're pedaling and each pedal stroke feels like more power. You're like, go, stop, that kind of thing. Like, this doesn't have that feeling, which is nice, but it also doesn't cut out as quickly, which is, you know, back to these brake levers with the motor inhibitor. If you have that happening, like if you need to stop, just use the brake levers and kind of keep that in mind. That's the Motion EVO 27.5 for 2015. For the full written review on this and other Motion electric bikes, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com.